Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Worlds Collide back again because wrestling cards rule, and we try to keep this consistent every single week.
Even rules.
O'Doyle rules, wrestling cards rule. Hopefully you guys think this show rules. And if you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you're listening to this. Tell a friend about the show. Leave us a review. And today, we're going to kind of give our review of Select. WWE Panini Select. We've seen a lot of people, posting their hits, giving their thoughts and opinions. Tony's flashing the Loomis Hitman. So we thought we'd just take a second and kind of give our thoughts and opinions on it. Tony, have you actually ripped any of this product yet?
Zero.
Okay.
There's a box waiting for me at my LCS that I've just been kind of reluctant to go and pick up. And if I did pick it up, I don't know if I'm going to rip it or not. Everything I get from my local card shop here, I just kind of sits behind me on a shelf. I just got boxes and boxes sitting behind me as I get, payments in product. I feel like, I don't know if anybody has ever, besides me and my good friend Mark out in California, and my wife, that's why I married her, has ever seen The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. I freaking love that movie so much. There's a line there where he's like, he doesn't make any money. He gets paid in gifts. I don't make money. I make gifts. And that's kind of how I get paid by my local card shop for doing graphic work and other oddball stuff. But I'd like to open a box just to say I did, but.
This is a random question you just now brought up. Recently, I don't know when this will air compared to when my interview with Evan Beauvais was, but we talked about with Whatnot and all the ripping and breaking as big as it is. Mm-hmm. Like, are we going to get to a point where even the overproduced sealed wax is going to be hard to find? I mean, you just now brought that up. Like, I just thought of that as you said that.
I think so. I really do. I think so because we have more avenues to sell things and we can push it and push it and push it. And so many people want to get involved in this stuff. I got my first experience as we're recording right now. Last week, I did my first ever jumping in and watching a Whatnot live for the first time. Like, I never experienced that before. I did it on two of them. One of them was the Card Foundation guys, and excellent, just well run as I expect things from them. I don't know anything on how it works and kind of navigating myself through the app. It's like that, and just kind of checking things out, and you have all your items are preloaded and also it really is eBay on crack.
It's a lot easier to get into than eBay.
It really is. Well, as a seller, you have to qualify.
Well, I mean, as a buyer.
Yeah. So I had signed up back from the person we shall not ever name, T-shirt. He's the one who got me into signing up for that, and I did. And I got approved, and I just never did anything with it. So I finally went in this past week, like I said, and checked everything out. And I was super impressed by it. I'm like, you know what? I probably will not even open an eBay store going forward. And just do that for my downtime inside my store. Or I might make a weekly, hey, honey, I'm going to be at the shop now until 7 o'clock tonight instead of 6 o'clock because I'm doing an hour of Whatnot on this particular night every week.
Right.
Of just doing Whatnot and just selling stuff right there and start building an audience that way to promote my store, to promote, wrestling cards, of course. It's incredible. And so I'm watching stuff, seeing if I can find any Loomis stuff, but no one's offering any Loomis stuff. But, it's just, it's amazing. And Select was definitely the flavor of that, and pushing
Twitter
it,
too. It's been all over Twitter too.
It's been everywhere. And, I love seeing it because people are like, I've heard people like, oh, I cracked open 6 cases of it. Like, 6 cases? What? Like, holy crap. I'm hearing guys cracking open 12. I heard some open 12 cases on one. It was just incredible. So it's a beautiful product, and I love it.
So I was familiar with Select through sports cards, and I knew of the levels, which I've always thought is interesting. So with wrestling, we've got the concourse, premier, ringside, and then I believe retail exclusive mezzanine.
Correct.
And so, what do you think about putting like you got a base set of all three of those, but then you have parallels of all three of those as well? I think it's cool adding an additional chase. Then again, I'm a person that loves
I
parallels
agree
and
with that.
rainbows.
I do love that aspect too. I feel for the set collectors out there, the Chucksters and the Pauls from Price Guide. It's going to be very difficult for them. It's doable. It just takes a lot more work to do it. I'm hearing that guys like, I'm just going to cut it off the 200 cards. So I'm going to be collect. That's going to be the base set. It's the 200 because everything else beyond that becomes short prints and just way more difficult. And
Mm-hmm.
now hearing with the retail stuff, Chuckster, he cracked open 6 blasters, 1 retail exclusive card. That's it.
Wow.
I mean, he got 1 card above the number 300. That was it. Yeah, I mean, he made good money if he wants to sell it. He got that, that Brock Lesnar,
Mm-hmm. The
elephant
elephant.
cards. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But, it's going to be real tough. And for that, like, I would love to have a base set just to have something for as a showpiece in the store that I would sell it,
Sure.
of course. But I don't know if I'm going to try to attempt to do that. I mean, I just now recently in the last couple of weeks have finished my Revolution set finally, and that was hard to finish from 101 through 150. Those were short printed. But I feel for the set collectors on that. But man, if you are after going through for rainbows and like that, like, wow, what a lot of fun that is for you.
And we're going to talk about the parallels in just a minute. One thing I want to move on to is this is our first taste of Panini relics. And I think for the most part, they knocked it out of the park with this.
Yeah,
Now, you've got some basic swatches, but what I like what they did is it seems like the lower numbered parallels got better swatches, whether
yeah,
it
they
was
were
a
smart about that.
three color or a little, something that's very visible. And one thing that two things that I absolutely loved. I think I saw several one of ones that were almost like logo men. For those of you who don't know, that's like
Yeah,
the NFL shield or the NBA basketball, the logo man patch off the jersey. And the Roman one is the example. The black one of one Roman had the WWE logo
yeah,
and I'm like this, and I think Adam Gelman actually is the one who started saying like, "Hey, this could be the first logo man for wrestling cards." I'm like, he's right. This is
yeah,
amazing. And the fact that they went to that level of detail to even think about doing that is amazing. The other thing is we're kind of used to this with Topps, but Panini has not been doing player worn or game worn in like any of their sports in the last year. Maybe it'll say like, they'll put a patch in there and this card's selling for 6 figures and it'll say this patch is not affiliated with any game, event, or player. So essentially they could have just went and bought something off the rack at Walmart, put it in the card, and but with this, it actually says on the back of it that it is a event worn, whether it was a match or a photo shoot, it doesn't matter, actually worn by that player. So
mhm.
I think they did a fantastic job with that. What do you think?
I agree. I love that whole like the Alexa Bliss one was really nice too. I saw that. Well, had
Yep.
like the piece of the doll eye right
The
in the middle,
eye.
so like
Yep.
that. It was just that I noticed that right away too with all the load number stuff and the one of one stuff. They really made those limited load number type cards very special, and they're already special because they're supposed to be load numbered one of one stuff like that. But then adding that little extra touch, like we're going to make it so it's only available in this one right here.
Right.
I like that a lot. Like I'm never going to own one of those probably, but it's just it's so nice to see that they took that kind of attention to detail on that.
Yep. 100%. I don't like, we'll just take a little bit of a sidebar. As far as the Loomis stuff, like, have you seen, does he have relics in this product? I
Haven't
had
seen
it.
any relics. I have an autograph card as of the time of this recording. I have an autograph card on the way. I picked up an autograph card. He himself is not in the first 200, so he's already going to be hard for me to track down anyways because
Interesting.
he's number 246 in the set. So he's
Gotcha.
only in the ringside set. So he's already a short print. And then, so I picked one up relatively cheap. I think I got it for $2.50. So to me, it's, I see guys trying to sell 20, $30 for some of these cards, the short print ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I got it for, $250. And then, the autograph I got for under $10.
Can't beat that.
So I have to jump on it. I have to jump on it. And then, but I haven't seen anything else. I have seen the tie-dye, several
Mhm.
tie-dyes of his. Like all of a sudden in one shot, like I got a message from someone and he said, he goes, "Oh, hey, I thought of you when I saw this." I'm sure you get that all the time. I thought of you when I
Yep.
saw this, cross, cards like that. I get all the time for Luma stuff. And I go, "Hey, I actually thanks. It's already on my watch list." It's some high price $200, tie-dye Loomis card, right? And then he goes, "Hey, also there's another one just now." And I go, "Oh," he goes, "And another one." And I go, "Oh my God." And he goes, "And another one." It's like there's 4 tie-dyes within like a half an hour got listed.
Wow.
And they're all numbered to 25.
Right.
And so I'm like,
crazy.
I'm watching all 4 of them, right? But I don't see anything. I saw my good friends over at Cherry Collectibles over
Mhm.
out of Australia. They pulled what the hell is it? A zebra of
Mhm.
him, so like that. And I'm like, oh, like, so we're talking right now. We're trying to negotiate right now because I want to get that one.
And
It's
that
numbered
was
to 10.
something I was going to ask. Are you with so many parallels and variations, are you still going after these just like you would anything else, or are you just kind
Absolutely.
of letting things come to you? Like, how's that going with
I'm
so
I'm doing
many?
I'm doing a little bit of both. A little bit of both. I actively will pursue some of the things that I'm looking for and I want, and then I also still engage in possible deals for those that come to me.
Gotcha.
So if someone goes, "Oh, hey, like Revolution was a great one," like I'm having a lot of fun. As of this recording, I'm still 1 card short of completing that set. I need a Galactic, and then I've got a Galactic Kofi Kingston. I'll trade for it. Um, but I, even though I already have like the Cosmic and the Sunburst and the Groove and all these things, then they come my way, I'm still taking them. I'll still
Right.
take them. Absolutely, I'll still take them. Especially if like, it does affect what I'm willing to pay for something, because if I already own it, getting another one sort of kind of takes the value of it down a little bit for me. Like I'm not going to pay the same price I
Right.
paid for that one, as that mentality
I
for
do the
me.
same thing with Cross. Like, if I'll take all the duplicates, but I'm not either going to pay as much or I'm only going to trade. That's the only way.
Correct. Correct. But I'm pursuing, all kinds of odds and end things. And I said it on a different podcast before, I think on our roundtable podcast we did recently, that I just kind of I just kind of put Kurt Angle to the side a little bit. I'm having so much fun with the Dexter Loomis stuff. The Kurt Angle stuff is already all out there. And I'll pick things up when I can. Like I picked up the printing plate set
Hmm.
at the National this year. That was pretty much it. But the Loomis stuff, I'm having too much fun with it. I don't care. And you know what? Give that credit to Panini, I guess. Panini creating all those different types of parallels has made it fun for me. I'm having fun doing that. I don't have to go out and spend $500 on a box, $200 on a box, 300, but whatever the price points are going to be. I don't have to spend that. I can just go and say, you know what? I'll spend my $5 over here and my $10 over there, my $5 over here. And before you know it, my whole Loomis collection, I got a whole Loomis collection for a fraction of what I would have paid for just for 1 box.
And I want to kind of go into that, talking about the parallels. One thing that I've started to see kind of in the sports card world is people complaining that Select has too many parallels, and how many different variations of an animal print parallel can you get? And what I'm seeing from the wrestling card community is they're actually all about that. And
They love it.
sports cards are like, well, like the elephant print, and it's short printed, but we don't know how many there are. And it seems like the wrestling card guys are just like, they just want it all. So what do you think
I
about
don't,
all
yeah, I
those?
don't care. But like, I don't care. I mean, having that tie dye blast, whatever the hell I think is, like Ultimate War, like it's total color matching. It
Right.
just matches perfectly. Like that's a beautiful looking card. It's a great image, highlighted with a great design around it. It's like that. It's just, it's beautiful stuff. And it's the fun factor, man. It's, when you were talking there a second, it made me think for a second. They're going like, here I am. I'm sort of like, I've gone completely 180 of what got me out of collecting
Yeah.
heavy. I got out of collecting because of the parallels and things like that Topps was doing back then, which is nothing compared to what is now. I mean, that's
Sure.
easy peasy stuff back then. But like when Heritage 2 Chrome came out, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm not doing any more refractors and super fractors and extra. Screw that, Like I'm
Right.
done. I can't compete with all. I just can't keep up. And now here I am, like I'm all about parallels now, and I'm loving it. So I'm just loving the whole thing.
I think, this is, Gelman, I think I said that like Panini was going to be the product for super collectors, and he's like, well, not so fast, because they're just going to be like, you're going to have to pay and chase so much. But to me, it's like you said, like I'm like, and happily, like a little bit nervous, but also happily anticipating the cross era within Panini, because I'm going to be like you guys. I'm going to get to chase all this stuff. So it's going to be great. You mentioned images. I think they knocked it out of the park with almost every single image in this set.
I'm trying to think if there's any. I mean, I haven't seen all the cards. I mean, but everything I've seen to date, even certain talent that I'm, maybe I'm not a fan of for whatever reason, I'm like, that's just a pretty card, man. It's a great shot. Like, I don't like inaction shots,
Right.
but even the inaction shots,
Yep.
they did a great job with it.
Yep.
Like to me, I thought it was a pretty kick-ass picture of Cody Rhodes. I mean, that's a great way to put him back. I love that card. It's a great looking card.
And this is from two guys that hate action shots.
And we hate action shots, I know. And but I love that image. I can't really. I'm sure there's probably, if I looked at all 400 cards in the set, I'm sure there's probably going to be one or two out there at least. I'm like, ugh. But I haven't seen that yet, because I haven't seen them all yet.
Everything I've seen that people posted, I either thought was okay or fantastic. I didn't see any that I was like, they're the ones we've talked about with, showing a zoom in of someone's armpit, or somebody making a really ugly face that we've talked about on This Is Your Card episodes. But I think they did great.
Let me tell you one thing about design, though, on this.
Yeah.
The one complaint that I've heard from some collectors out there, and it's been prevalent in each Panini release so far, is that bordered out outline of the talent.
Oh, yeah. Started with Prism and just kind of continued to go.
Yeah. So it's probably, it seems to be, it's almost like at first you look at the cards, you say, great shot, great design, looks awesome, and you don't really see it. As soon as someone mentions it to you, you can't unsee it anymore.
Right. And I think the Andre was the first one that people pointed out on the Andre Prism.
Yeah. And so it's sort of kind of stuck, and it's like I see that being the one little negative that people have pointed out on designs like that. And I can see it. It doesn't bother me as much.
So let's talk about the sales and activity. We'll start with the activity. These guys have been posting these cards all over Twitter, all over Instagram. Everybody's posting their hits, and it seems like people are getting better cards out of even blasters than they were with Prism, or even Hobby Revolution, or like some of the AEW. Like, I'm just seeing so much select coming out, and it's the fact that people are actually happy with majority. I think I've seen one person that was disappointed with what they got. So we've got the reaction and the activity, but then you've got the sales, and I'm sure you and Paul will probably cover some of this, but it seems like I've seen multiple 4-figure sales this quick with, and okay, come on. If you're listening to this and you're used to listening to the Big Time Sports Card podcast, 4 figures, that's nothing. But with wrestling, to have modern cards that are selling that quick, of guys that, are big name guys, but aren't like the ones that you would expect to sell for those, and it being driven by parallels and low numbered cards, I think it's fantastic.
Agreed. I think so too. But I'd also like to be cautious that as of this recording, Select's been out only for a short time. So will those big numbers out the gate, like everything else previously, is that going to hold true a month from now, 2 months from now?
Depends. I still, because if you go and look at some of the Prism Golds, they're going for higher now than what they were then. But then if you look at stuff like Mojos, or the number out of 50s or out of 99s, like that stuff, it has gone down. So that's where it just comes with knowing the product and knowing how Panini stuff does within sports cards, and how generally that would relate into wrestling. But then, like, it's the ultimate chase with this, because now you've got multiple 1-of-1s. So you've got 3 levels of 1-of-1 plus a mezzanine plus potentially something else. Then you've got all those.
But the retail, you have 4 levels of 1-of-1s. Retail has 1-of-1s too.
Right. So four levels total.
Yeah,
but then I thought there was something else too. I thought there was like some kind of variation 1-of-1, because I know Prism does that sometimes. They'll do like a variation of their black 1-of-1. And I thought I read somewhere where there was something that was in one of the select products that was exclusive. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just something else where we're looking at Prism Golds,
Well,
Prism Black one of one.
Ringside has black 1-of-1s, and they also have a black and gold 1-of-1.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
what I was thinking of.
So,
So
a matter of fact, all 3 of those releases, by the way. So, Concourse, the first 3 releases, the first 3 sections, all have 2 different 1-of-1s you can get out of them. And then the retail has its own 1-of-1.
So we're talking about 7 1-of-1s.
7 different levels of 1-of-1s. Yes.
What's your thoughts on that? You think that's overkill, or do you think that's just that much more exciting things for super collectors?
I like it. I love it. You're talking to a guy now. Like I said, I'm a complete 180 from what I used to be about when it came to parallels. I was the guy who didn't like to collect because all the parallels, and that's what kind of drove me away from it. Now I'm the complete opposite. I'm loving it. I'm loving the chase. I also think for someone like yourself and me and people who play or collect or super collect, how you want to call it, your lane is and you're focused on the one thing. So I don't have to worry about going after as a master set collector or building this kind of or having multiple people out there like, oh, I collect Alexa Bliss, Roman Reigns. I have 4 different. I'm focused on one character, one guy. That's it. And so I only have that one person to worry about.
Yep, 100% agree. And it's all we've talked about on our last episode with the roundtable with Shane and Justin, and we're talking about just focusing on what it is you want, being able to shut out the outside noise. And I think that's what we're going to have to do more super collecting episodes because I'm such a big believer in that. But kind of close this one out. What do you think about Select going forward as far as like we know on paper, these can change. We've seen so much change in a year that, we should see potentially some more Select releases within the next year or two for, the second, third, and fourth year that Panini has the license. We don't know if that stays, but again, we'll see. What do you think the Select as a brand going forward is going to do from this first set and the popularity to maybe what comes out in the future?
I guess it depends how long the license is for Panini. We don't know if it's a 2-year, 3-year, 4-year. We don't know. I haven't read it. I mean, maybe somebody can answer that. Somebody with inside knowledge can tell us. I don't know.
Well, I think the year has been established, but the problem is, like, I've heard Fanatics is already wanting to buy out Panini. So then what happens? You know what I'm saying?
Who knows? I mean, and you start putting out, a different set every month. Every other month is a Topps Panini, Topps Panini, Topps. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's possible. I mean, we talked about that at the Nationals. Someone had asked a question about, where do you see if that actually happens? I think Ryan asked that question. Was it Macho Madness?
Yeah.
I love that guy. He's local too. We should go out for a drink once in a while. But he asked that question, like, what do you see could happen? Like, does one just kind of gobble up the other? Do we just lose a Chrome? Do we lose Prism? And then Johnny and Danny from the Card Foundation had a great answer for that. It's like, they believe there's room for both of those. Does Prism become like the premier shiny thing, and just below that is Chrome, or are they going to be treated as equals, or who knows? But there's room for both of those. There's room for all that stuff. There's some guys who don't like Prism. There's some guys who only like Chrome,
right?
And vice versa. So there is probably a market for both those, but it'll be interesting to see. This being everything that Panini puts out right now is all debut, first edition, premiere, all that crap. So that's going to hold a little bit of level of value down the road too, I think. But I think the excitement of what Select has done this time, if they do a Select 2023, which why wouldn't they? I guess. I think that excitement's going to be just as hyped for it, I think.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the Chromium product the wrestling fans wanted.
Yep.
They didn't get that with Prism. I still think Prism is, from a price standpoint, is going to carry a lot heftier price tag and value and whatnot. But and the cards were harder to pull. But it seems like with this, like, people, even, again, as I said, retail, people were happy with their blasters, which we did not see with Prism. People are more than happy with their hobby boxes that they got, which that's great too. Because again, with Prism, some people got, took a bath on hobby boxes also. So I think that's great. And it really seems like we have this kind of slow trajectory. Like, Prism was kind of up and down, but then Revolution seemed to be pretty popular within wrestling fans. Now Select is even more popular than that. So what are we going to get with the NXT, the Immaculate? Isn't it Immaculate? I believe is what's coming out next. It's just going to be the first on-card autos.
Yeah, that's the exciting factor that's going to get collectors to go after that, because it's on-card stuff.
Right. And then what I'm even hoping for like the super like the national treasures level kind of wrestling stuff, because we've heard that, I think it was on the Card Foundation, they said they've got pieces of like Matt Riddle's flip-flops to use in, they're not saying what product, but we can kind of guess it's going to be one of those high-end products. So as long as Panini's got the license, I'm pretty excited for kind of what we have in store, especially now that Cross is back in the fold. It's going to give me a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's actually vastly different, us talking now about this product and where Panini stands within our hobby, than it was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
When or right around WrestleMania time when Prism hit, where the divide happened. I think 2022 is going to be the year of the great wrestling card divide. And it's nice to see that for the most part that is settled into like, okay, we don't hear the little the digs go from vintage to shiny guy to vintage guy, whatever the case may be. People seem to be getting back to how we used to be as a nice community, and starting to appreciate the lanes they've picked and what they're doing, like that. And I like that. I like to look like, you know what? Let's back it off. I collect these old guy cards. Oh no, I collect these. I'm young gun. I collect these guys, and people just kind of like, hey, you just do you. Yeah, you do you, guy. And I'm liking that. I'm liking that it's kind of gone back to that. And I think the excitement is of the product is showing that we're not seeing a lot of people going like, oh, you're still buying that shiny crap. Like, no one seems to really be doing that anymore now. It's just kind of like, yeah, wrestling cards, man, they're cool again.
100%. Like, I love seeing people come in and getting into this new product and not giving a crap about the Wrestling All-Stars. And then I love seeing the Wrestling All-Stars guys continue to go after their own stuff and let the modern people do what they want instead of trying. Like, I've always said this, like, I got into this, I got into the hobby to collect these things that I relate to, and I've always liked to collect things, and it's just fun to try to do this. And sure, we can make some money doing it to kind of create a self-funding hobby, but I got into the content creation, and I'm sure we've talked about this before, to just kind of build the pie of wrestling cards, like put this stuff out there to the people that maybe don't know about wrestling cards. I didn't get in this to like try to play kumbaya with everybody. I don't have to get along with everybody. I'm just putting information out there. I'm also not saying I'm an expert. I'm just putting it out there so people can take any piece of what we say, like it, dislike it, and then run with it in their own lane. That's the whole point. And that's what I love seeing with a lot of these new releases are just getting more people into wrestling cards. Do they stay modern and not go to the old stuff? Maybe. Do they start buying Select, and all of a sudden they pick some random like mid-2000s Topps products and start looking because their favorite wrestler had a rookie card in that set or something? I don't know, but I love it. Yeah,
I do too. It's just sharing the knowledge is one of the biggest thing we've always talked about, sharing the knowledge like that. I mean, it's what I've done, and that's why I like having taking on this platform of actually doing some kind of a podcast and YouTube channels like that, of just further doing stuff that I've been doing anyways for over 20 years anyways, like that. But now it's like I have an opportunity to share it with other people in this way.
Well, closing it out, let everybody know where they can find you, because they should know, but we still have people that say, hey, what do you know about this? And what do? We send them to WrestlingTradingCards.com.
That's right. And that's where you go. That's where you can find me, man. Find everything you want to know about what we do is on WrestlingTradingCards.com. All the social media, how to get a hold of us is all at the bottom of every single page.
And I want to continue to push the YouTube channel that you've got going, because great variety. There's collectors that you have on your platform to interview that maybe you see on Twitter. Maybe nobody knows who they are, but they've been collecting for 30 years. Like you just never know what kind of guests or what kind of topics. Like you and Paul doing your recap of the month has become I've said it before, but it's like one of my favorite videos that I don't want to miss. So make sure to check out the WTC YouTube channel and subscribe while you're there, please. And tell everybody about it, because it's, that's the whole point. We're just trying to get more content out there for people. And for my content, you can check me out on YouTube, Wrestling with Cards on YouTube, Wrestling with Cards, my solo podcast. But of course, you're here for this podcast. Whatever you're listening to this on, please subscribe and leave us a review. Tell a friend about the show, tell a family member. Maybe most importantly, try to get this out to wrestling fans who aren't collecting the cards, because we're trying to build that community. As we've said numerous times, we are seeing it little by little. We've kind of, I don't know the term I want to use, but we've kind of said this over and over again about how AEW and Upper Deck brought people in, and then we've seen that just kind of build and build. And the whole reason of this podcast and everything we're doing is to build it even more and just continue to pump out as much as we can. So
yeah, if you've got people in your community and your little your collection of friends or people you trade with and stuff like that who are getting into wrestling cards, there's a lot of great content out there beyond what we just put out as well.
yes,
Just share that with them, help educate them, and just share our podcast with them, share any wrestling cards podcast with them, and just get that information out there to people to help them.
and until next week, we thank you guys for listening. Again, subscribe, tell somebody about the show, and hey, leave us a review. If you think we did awesome, let us know. Give us that Dave Meltzer 5-star review, because wrestling cards rule. Dave Meltzer doesn't. And then if you think we suck, or if you like Dave Meltzer and you didn't like my comment just there, leave us a 1-star review and tell us how badly. But hey, either way, you're talking about us, and controversy creates cash. So until next week, when we're sure to make someone else mad or make some gatekeeper mad or who knows what, keep collecting wrestling cards and having a blast doing it. We'll see you.
Wrestling cards rule.